The law of the I Am is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the I Am is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the I Am are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the I Am is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the I Am is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the I Am are true and righteous altogether. Psalms chapter 19, verses 7 through 10. Blessed is the man that walketh not into the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the I Am, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Psalms chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Hosea chapter 1, verses 8, or as you would say, Joshua in your transliterations. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're in the law. Yes, we're in the law. All praises to the Most High. We're in the law. Yes, this is the whole essence of being an Israelite, or a convert unto Israel, the way of Israel, which is the way of the Most High. Even his laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. All that historical stuff is one thing. But to obey and to adhere to the law, even in the book of Ruth, or should I say, the book of, we just come out of it, Esther. The book of Esther. They were furious that these people kept a certain law other than the law of the king, but yet the king delighted in them because they were doing that which was right. And the same thing even now. The New Testament doesn't tell you to obey the law. It gives you a law, a form of the law, but the law in depth and in definition is in the book of the 5 books of Moses, should I say. As people, Exodus, Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, Leviticus. Yes, they are there. I need to turn this off for a minute. Okay, the law. But we're in the book of Leviticus. We're going to try to keep it as short as possible. The book of Leviticus. We're still in chapter 19. As you prepare in verse 31, we're going to start with 19 and 31. But the law is sung about, as you have just heard in Psalms chapter 19. I mean, it's pure. In other words, fair. It's clean. But the world and its wickedness. What is wickedness? To do things your way. What seems right to you is wicked. But to do those things that God says, and to shun those things that God says shun, and to do those things that the Most High says do, are right, even his law. Many don't want to say the law. If you really realize, if you can't quote it in Scripture, it is of your own spirit. If you can't quote it out of the law, it is of your own spirit for the Israelite. Now the world, they do what seemeth right in their mind. They have no guide, but they have to go back to the Bible. They have to go back to the the law in order to find out. Now, even in the New Testament, it vaguely even gives you what the law says. It just gives you bits and pieces. What the law tells you straightforward. What God desires of you and what you will be judged of. Now, Deuteronomy chapter 28 also gives a warning, and those warnings have come upon us. Even the curse of the law. That if we do not do these things, why? Because the ancestors of Jacob, or should I say after Jacob, his children, did not keep the law, in that they saw the way of the heathen was better, or thought that it was better. And every time they went into captivity, they saw that the way of the Most High is better. You don't need jails with the way of the Most High. You don't need psychological, or should I say, you don't need insane asylums. You don't need mental illness stuff. Because if you obey the law, that is above devils. That is most holy before the Most High. He says, be ye holy. How are you going to be holy? You don't even know. It's not washing your clothes. That's part of it. It's not the clothes you wear, the big hats you wear, and the garments that you probably never washed and been touched by heathens and dead animals and polyester blends and all this other stuff. Even those who call themselves Israel, that march down the street in the curtain stuff and all the shiny clothes they have. Blends. How you obeying the law? You just offending another thing. But we do what we can. Only people that had a dress code and what they should wear was the Levitical priest. That's it. Unless you're military. That was it. But the law. Let's get into it. Leviticus 19 and 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits. I see something in your life. I see something that, you have a great aura about you. Or you're this and you're that. Predicting the future. The word of Most High have already predicted the future. I don't subscribe to the New Testament, but all the way from Enoch to Malachi, God has predicted the future. In that he knows what he's going to do with mankind, because man have chosen the way of the evil ones. If you look in the book of Jubilees, you'll find out there was one who was talked about even after the watchers were bound up. People don't even get about the watchers. God had to destroy those people. Their minds were gone. The children of the watchers now exist in the form of demons. Then you have those who are among us, swaying our minds to do that which is evil, and we think they're our own thoughts. They sound logical, they sound good. But what does the law say? What does the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High say? That we can do. Sacrifices? No, we can't do that. Would God allow a heathen to sacrifice a man and put him on, and then it didn't even follow the instructions on how to sacrifice? What is the instruction of sacrificing a man? Huh? There is none. Either he's put to death for his sins, or he's just no more, or he has to sacrifice himself. The innocence of animals, because they don't have a law, only a law just like those who have a law in your body, your blood cells, your DNA, your RNA. DNA tells the RNA how to shape the proteins, and the proteins go as a signal from the body. It sends that protein, and it already gives it instructions to go and heal that wound, or mend something, or cause healing to happen. This is what RNA does. Now, when you get RNA, it's coming from somebody or some thing's DNA that gave it instructions, and now they give it to you. This is why you have problems with the jab that they had. because it's not yours. You have a certain DNA. Most medicines and ailments are only to help the body heal, help the body become strong, or if the body is deficient, it helps put that deficiency there, that it might help the body to regulate itself and be that which is normal. Yes, we know that. He says, now, regard them that have not familiar spirits. You don't need them. You don't need to know the future in that way. Only the heathen do, because they have no guide. They have their Jesus. You have Christians that seek, even Muslims, they seek for those with familiar spirits, to be defiled by them. I am that I am your God. 32, thou shalt rise up before the hoary head. You don't care. You sitting down, you see a man with gray hair and you know he's of age, get yourself up. And honor the face of the old man. This is a commandment from the Most High. Oh, he's old. I don't trust old men. I hate them. You just violated the thing of the old man. You speak respectfully, even if he's wrong or she's wrong. He says you shall respect the face of the old man. That's what fear means. Honor. Because he's been there where you are. Whether he's drunk it, whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to say, sir, excuse me, or something like that, or how are you? Yes and no. You don't cuss an old person out. You do not. You do not argue at them. I don't care how much you think you're on their level, you're not. Not in the eyes of the Most High. The fear of thy God, because it was God who caused this man or this woman to get to an elderly age. And some of you in these old people home, the ones who have put their people in the old people's home is going to suffer too. But those of you that have provisions to take care of them, you're also going to suffer. Now, we know Israel was going into the land. And he said, if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not trouble him. This is the Gentiles do this. If you go into a Gentiles or a person look different in your neighborhoods, and here come the police and everything, he says you don't trouble them. If they walk in your neighborhood, don't vex them, don't trouble them. But the stranger, and even if he lives next door to you, that dwelleth with you, shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. He's not talking about everybody. He's just talking about those. If he's lived next to you in the land, is what he's saying. See, this land doesn't obey the statutes, commandments, ordinance of the Most High. Neither does the whole globe. They do not. But this was the land of Israel. This is why we wait on the Most High. But we keep those that we can. Your neighbor is probably the most unrighteous person you do know, but still, you just keep peace with them. You don't have to love them as yourself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am your God. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. In other words, what measure do you have? You have the law, statutes, and ordinances as a measure as how you should treat everybody. Love is what it means. It means treating people as yourself. Treating people how you want to be treated. That's all love is. This has nothing to do with all this affection and all that. That's even your wife. You have to treat her as you treat her. You have to treat her as you do yourself. Even woman, you have to treat man as you would, as instructed by the Most High. They'll get along fine. But when you're with all this other stuff and all these little crazy things, it's not going to work. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. In other words, do not defraud your brother. Just weights and balances is what he's saying. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, a just hin, shall ye have. In other words, be honest in how you deal with men financially. I am your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. And therefore ye shall observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. Now, although he was just talking to them here in Leviticus 19, and they were just going into the land. This is the laws being established. They don't tell you all the laws of the United States, but you do have access to the Constitution, and no state's law should be that above the Constitution. But as we see in this day and hour, those laws were written for everyone in heart. But it's the people of today that has systematic evil toward others, not obeying those laws. Now, we're also going to go into a few. He says now here, verse 9, verse 20 and 9, we're going to do a few here and then we're going to call it. For everyone that curses his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. Now he talked about the elderly rising up before the hoary head, and you shall honor the old man or old woman. See, in certain countries, this thing, you probably would be deleted if you disrespected the elders. Regardless of how they are, the children even laugh at them sometimes. But the fact is that they are to be honored, period. He that hath cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. In other words, God says, if this is so and it's witnessed and we know it, delete them. Those of you in the land. See, this is where we don't get it. The laws of the I am are for Israel. It was because of the land that they should go in, that they should be example unto the world of what holiness and righteousness is. Even down to the law, the harshest point of the law, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Yes, murder, grapes, what have you. God did not play, because he knew men would be beside themselves if they would get away with such things. You allow men that are downright, most of the countries that we're in, they allow men downright that should be deleted, put out of their misery for what they have done to others, especially murder and rape. That's right. This is God to test that. How are you going to take something that don't belong to you, that is not of your... He says, get rid of it. If you murder or do these things, get rid of them. But do it right, due process. Okay. Now, but then you have these people that are so liberal. Oh, that's so inhumane. But yet that dog can bite you and they call the police on you and the police arrest you. Let's call it like it is. Evil is called good and good is called evil. The good that you would do to delete a murderer or a rapist is evil, or one that stealeth a person in child trafficking to let them live. That's evil toward the Most High and toward their mothers and fathers. That's the same thing as putting them to death. It's just fortunate that they even might be found after they have been taken away. Now let's continue with this last one. Leviticus 20. He said, and the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, and the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. The man that committed adultery with another man's wife, a man has to commit adultery with another man's wife, and even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, it's the same thing. the adulterer, regardless of whether he's a sojourner or whether he's the seed of Jacob. The adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death, both. How can Jesus come and say, he that without sin be the first, cast the first stone? See, you've got that backwards. That was given to you by devils. That is a lying doctrine. A lying even scene or event in history that never happened. There's no way an angel would do that. There's no way a holy man would do that, that understands and know and obey. Jesus just took the law and threw it away. How in the world are you going to say this thing? No way. If she committed adultery and they hid the man, they're no better than all of these countries that justify their men and put the woman away because she maybe was a harlot or something. Who knows? He said, they shall be put to death. And he goes again, a man that lieth with his father's wife and hath uncovered his father's nakedness, and both of them shall be surely put to death. And their blood shall be upon them. Now, for he said, thou shalt not uncover their nakedness. Now he's saying, this is the sentence to the Levites. The Levites was the ones to carry this stuff out. This is the book to the Levites. Both of them shall surely be put to death, but their blood shall be upon them. In other words, there's no sin. You have no problem. God will require this of them. According to the book of Enoch, they will be in a certain place. Yes. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall be surely put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. You do not lay with your son's wife, man. That's what it's all about. 13, if a man also lie with mankind, homosexuals, LGBTQs, I don't care what social media says. This is what God is saying right here in this book. If a man lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed abomination before the I am. This is printed, fair use, okay, if you want to put it that way. And they shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them. This is the way of Jacob. This is the way of Israel. This was the law from God handed to who? Moses. And the children of Israel, those of you who deem yourself as Israelites, said, all that the I am says, that will we do. The covenant was made and sealed with the blood of animals. Yes, it was. Now, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, what is he saying? Same thing. Both of them have committed abominations, homosexuals, LGBTQ, woman, same thing, surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. He had to tell them again, reiterate this. It is wickedness. They shall be burnt. To be burnt with fire is most hideous. It's not good. Painful. Both he and they are to be there, that there be no wickedness among you. Why does he say this? That others might fear not to do such a thing. That whatever devil or whatever demon is infiltrating their mind to sway their hearts against the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High, they will say, no, I do not want to die like that. Now he puts it bluntly what he means right here. Burn them with fire if a man take a wife and her mother. It is wickedness. Burn them with fire, he told them. This is the same as the sin of witchcraft, really. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death. This is the sentence. This is what he's telling the Levites to do. They were the judges, the magistrates, and so to speak, in the land. You see a man laying with a sheep, get him. Take him, put him down. And the sheep. And ye shall slay the beast. 16. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereunto, thou shalt kill the woman, he says. and the beast, and they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon him. But this is what the heathen does. They allow such things. They smile at it. They want to see the back lab lay with the woman walking on all fours so that he does his thing on them and delight in just watching. And some women, you got the donkey shows in Tijuana, and they expect themselves, and this same woman gets up and she begins to go and do her rosary and goes to the priest and confess every day so that she can be covered, thinking God is a fool. Now, if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down, he says, that blood shall be upon them. Yes. He says there's no condemnation to the one who deletes them for what they have done. He says, now if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. That's stoning. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, and he shall bear his iniquity. So the fact is, there is a, should I say, a vehemency as to how God views the family. One who respects one another. That's what he wants us to, that's what God wants us to do, is respect one another in chastity, in our desires, in everything else. That desire, if it come upon you, it's nothing but of devils. Dismiss that desire as it comes upon your head. Yeah, you have a good-looking sister or auntie, or your father-in-law is handsome. No, not yours. And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, your auntie, nor your father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin, and they shall bear their iniquity. And we're going to stop at verse 19. Leviticus 20, verse 19. And if we do those things that God have instructed us to do, and how to respect each other and how to love each other, according to the word that the Greeks give us, we will have peace.